Yeah, so I welcome each one of you today on this session, and I'm very sure all of you must have seen the poster that said being human. So this word we now and like every now and then we came across and used to have some perception. What does it mean in our life? How does it matter for me? So that all we are going to see today and much more for sure. But before beginning, I would like to give you a brief intro of our club. That is, our club is Parivartan, a change in like a movement of life change like that. So I'm sure many of you already have seen the video now on the screen on Zoom. So you might have got a fair idea as well. And many of you who are already joining the session for let's say second time or third time, because this has been our fourth session like that. So you also might be having a fair idea, but I'll still take a few moments just to briefly explain about it. So I'll be sharing my screen with all of you regarding our club, Parivartan, a step towards change. I think all of you might be able to see my screen by now. Okay, thank you. So now, yeah, thank you. So let's see some objectives of the club. That there are some very amazing aspects which our Parivartan club offers for all of us to grab in. Like the first and the foremost is, it is a platform for expressing goodness. So goodness nowadays, everybody wants in their life, but they does not have a platform to exhibit it. So we will be having a very healthy, a very positive platform to exhibit goodness in our lives. Also, we'll be able to promote value-centered lifestyle. So nowadays, values a lot in one's life, but generally they goes in background when we go ahead in our life with great speed. So direction is very important whenever we have to go somewhere. So values give direction to our life. So we'll be able to live a very value-centered lifestyle by following the objectives of this club. Similarly, we'll be having very amazing association. So association of people, it really matters a lot in one's life. In fact, it is told that if I want to know someone how he is, then I just have to take an aggregate, an average of 5 people with whom a person associates the most, like that. So association is in fact one of the most important factor in one's life, like that. Similarly, support system. So nowadays, in order to have a very constructive personality and a knowledge of a person, it needs a great support actually. And there has to be someone who can like understands us and can support us in every way possible, like that. Similarly, we'll be having personalized mentorship. So in that, I'm sure all of us have this experience in our life that if we have got some friend who is very knowledgeable, who has very good intentions towards us to help us, then we are very fortunate. Similarly, we'll be able to get such people here in our club that will be able to provide us personalized mentorship. So why it is personalized? Because every person is an individual in himself, like that. So then, pleasure to introduce all of you to the speaker for today. So I will just take a few moments to introduce the speaker for today for all of us. And topic, as all of you already know, it's being human, like that. So the speaker for today is Mr. Tejas Deshpande. So I'm sure all of you might have seen also on the poster. Sir is born in 1985 in southern part of Indian peninsula in a wealthy Maharashtrian Brahmin family, and he holds a degree in computer science and engineering. Then he holds a Bhakti Shastri degree from Vrindavan Institute of Higher Education, and currently he is pursuing his postgraduate degree in scriptural wisdom of the Vedas. Then he used to spread very great amount of joy and knowledge of living a life based on purity of scriptures, making scriptures not just understandable, but also practical, and also inspiring everyone to live a purpose-driven, meaningful life, which I'm sure all of us are looking for it. Sir also considers the whole world his home, determined to spread the wisdom of his learning and light the lamp of knowledge in every direction. So he works with individuals, with corporates, with institutes across India through exclusive workshops, seminars, training modules, and learning retreats. In fact, I myself have attended many of them from Sir. And apart from the corporate sector, his target audience is the youth, like all of us. He travels across the India, connecting with them across educational institutes, counseling and guiding students in the area of leadership, overcoming failures, managing stress, among other relevant concerns. He is a regular speaker at IIT Hyderabad, IIT Chennai, BITS Hyderabad, and many youth training centers. His key interests are education and music. In fact, I very much admire musical skills of Sir myself. His multifaceted interests led him to become a guitarist, actually, a drummer and a vocalist. He performed at many heavy metal rock concerts prior to joining as a person to spread this knowledge. His effortless speaking attracts hearts and minds of people across the various audiences, cutting across all the barriers, and that's what makes him a popular invitee. And right now, Sir is working in a multinational company in NUCE, like that. So we are very happy to have his association today with us. So Sir has already joined. So thank you so much, Sir, for your time. We heartily welcome you for our session today, Being Human. Thank you so much, sir.
Akshay, you can make Sir as a co-host. Sir
Okay,
cannot
okay.
unmute himself.
Okay, yes, sir, sure. Yes, sir. Sir, just a second, I'm making you co-host. Yes, sir, you can unmute now.
Okay, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Akshay. So I'm very, very happy to welcome all of you for this 4th session of Parivartan Club. My gratitudes and thanks to all the organizers of the Parivartan Club who are doing such a wonderful activity for all of you. It's very rare to get people in our life who will guide us on the right path. There are many people who are driven by bad instincts, bad association, going down the drill of lifestyle in this world. There are many who are not so fortunate enough, like all of you, who are able to get this chance of getting this good association. This Parivartan Club is extending their hand to all of you. And my hearty thanks and gratitude goes to all of them for inviting me to be with all of you today evening. And I'm so happy that so many of you have joined who want to be humans. Because today's topic that we are going to discuss is being human, as all of you might have seen on the poster. So being human is a very popular word today. There are many organizations worldwide who are spreading or propagating this particular title of being human. There are many other sub-organizations like vegans who have also come for the same reasons. So many people are talking about this topic. It is very popular, but mostly least understood topic in the world. Why it is being propagated is very interesting. Being human is being propagated because people are not acting like humans. It is very interesting to see that a dog never thinks, I should be like a dog. I remember when I used to visit my friend's home, I used to always see his dog, as soon as the bell would ring, the dog would start barking immediately, as if there is some link between that bell and him. He exactly knew his duty. He exactly knew the instinct that he's supposed to act on. And then as soon as he sees a favorable man or a known man, he will come wagging his tail. Or otherwise, he will start defending and not allow the person to enter. So dog never thinks I should be like a dog. He just acts like a dog. Animals, according to their instincts, according to whatever species they're born as, they start behaving like that. A tiger is sitting on the grass, but you'll never find a person asking him, Sir, kya khayenge? Ghas ya mas? A tiger is never given a choice. Will you eat veg or will you eat non-veg? He's sitting on the grass, but he knows that he has to eat non-veg because his instinct is to be non-vegetarian. But when we go to a hotel, we get a choice where we get to exercise whether we want to be humans or not. So humans have got this special ability of choice. That's why choice in Sanskrit is known as Swatantriya Ratna. Ratna means jewel, and Swatantriya means freedom or choice. So this choice can bring about a very bright future in our life, or the same choice can bring about a bleak future in our life, depending on how do we use this jewel. I remember when I was in my teenage, sometimes my mother would scold me when I would not do the homework or not study. And then she would give me a comment saying, Kya gadha hai kya? Are you a donkey? Padhai kyun nahi kar raha hai? Why are you not studying? And this would happen multiple times. When I would not do something, she would repeat the same comment. If she has told me to do something in the house, and if I'm keeping the thing shabby, she would immediately say, Kya gadha hai kya? Ye aisa kyun nahi kiya? So then one day I became frustrated and I asked her, if you are a human, then why did you give birth to a donkey? And then she became more angry. And then she said, actually, I'm calling you a donkey because donkey is a fool and you're acting like a fool. So that's why you're like a donkey. So that means she said that I was not acting like a human. Then later when I went to college, for my engineering, I remember I met one organization which inspired me a lot in my personal life, in getting good values in my life. All of you must be aware of International Society for Krishna Consciousness, ISKCON. So I had met few volunteers of the same organizations that had come to me to contact me to distribute a copy of Bhagavad Gita. And I was so surprised. I did not know, even being part of India since my childhood, I had never seen or I had never read this book, which is so rich in wisdom that we have at our doorstep. But we never take a peep into it. And one of the volunteers came up to me and he handed me over a copy of Bhagavad Gita, and he said, he talked about the same topic of being human, and he said we should not behave like animals, we should not be like a donkey. And I remembered my mother. And I said to him that my mother also used to say that I should not be like a donkey. But what does it mean to be a human? I asked him a question that you're propagating to be a human, but what does it mean to be a human? Can you define? And then he gave me a wonderful piece of knowledge which I remember even up till now, and I won't forget for my life. And he said that there are two words in Sanskrit which sound very similar, but they're not similar. These two words are kriti and akriti. Kriti means activity, and akriti means form or shape. So a donkey has a kriti. He has 4 legs, he has a tail. He has a kriti of a donkey. He has an akriti of a donkey, and he also does kriti of a donkey. He carries loads of stuff on his back. A cat has an akriti of a cat, and she also does kriti of a cat. She's very cunning in trying to find the food in the house. She exhibits a kind of catitude because of which people get attracted to her. So all the animals, they have akriti and kriti, which is in line. So whatever is their form, so are their actions. But a speciality of a human form is, though the akriti may be of a human, that means a form or a shape may be of a human, but it can do the function of all the species. So this is very great speciality of a human. That's why you must have observed this. In human society, it's very common to call animal names to the children. Like if the children are very naughty when they're young, when they're very small, their mothers call them, "Hey monkey, why are you acting like this?" But just imagine, a mother monkey will never call her child, "Hey monkey." She will never use that slang to correct her child. But a human mother will do that. If you are not acting like a human, will be labeled as some animal. So what are these forms of life? Let us try to know what are these forms of life, or what are these species that we talk about. In Shastra, they're called as yoni. In our zoology or botany, you must have studied about there are different forms of life: chordates, non-chordates, porifera, coelenterata, so many. I don't remember the names now. It's long back that I had studied. But in Vedic literatures, this classification is given very specifically. Especially in Padma Purana of the Vedic literatures, it talks about these categories of species or forms of life. So in Padma Purana, it is said there are total about 84 lakh different varieties of species that exist in the nature. 8.4 million or 84 lakhs. And a very specific categorization is given. Jalaja Navalakshani. Jala means water. Ja means being born. Jalaja means living entities who are born in water. Navalakshani. There are 9 lakh varieties of aquatics. There are different kinds of species who are born in different atmospheres. Jalaja, Swedaja, Andaja, Jarayuja. There are 4 ways in which the species are born. Jalaja means the species that are born in water. Andaja means the species that are born through an egg. Swedaja, Sweda means sweat. There are living entities who are born out of sweat, like bed bugs, for example. And there are living entities who are born out of the body, Jarayuja. So there are 4 ways in which the species take birth. So it is said in Padma Purana that Jalaja Navalakshani, there are 9 lakh varieties of aquatics. Then Sthavara Lakshavimshati. Sthavara means stationary, non-moving. Lakshavimshati means 20 lakh. There are 20 lakh varieties of plants, creepers, and trees. In our modern botanies, they could find only 75,000 varieties of plants, creepers, and trees. Just imagine 20 lakh of them, each of them having a botanical name. Then third category is insects. Krimayo Rudra Sankhya-kaha. Krimayo means insects. Rudra means 11, Sankhya-kaha. That means 11 lakh varieties of insects. Can you imagine? Insects are so small, tiny creatures. You will find if you go to forest, there are so many varieties of insects with so many beautiful colors, dots, different shapes, forms. That's why there is one poet who had been in history. He had glorified in his one song, Keshava Tua Jagata Vichitra. Oh Lord, your creation is so beautiful. Vichitra means strange, and Vichitra also means Vishesha Rupena Chitra, that means beautiful, specially beautiful. In your nature, we are finding so many varieties of things available. Creation is so beautiful. I remember a snippet that I had read in one of the newspapers. Once a photographer who was an ontologist, ontologist means a bird watcher, he had gone to the forest to click photographs of the birds. When he was looking into the forest, traveling into the forest, he saw that there was a small plant holding a watermelon, gigantic watermelon, and it was barely able to hold it. And there was a huge tree, gigantic tree, having small berries on it. And he thought to himself, what kind of creation is this? How illogical. This watermelon should be held by a gigantic tree and berries should be held by a plant. But I think the creator was not intelligent enough. He thought to himself. Then after a while of strolling through the forest, he came under such gigantic tree and he was taking rest. And a small berry from that gigantic tree fell on his cheek. And when it hit him, he thought to himself, oh my God, I am saved. If only it would have been a watermelon, I would not be living. I was so wrong. So then he concluded that nature is not just beautiful, it is also intelligently designed. How many varieties of dosas can we make? How many varieties of vehicles can we make? How many varieties of mobiles can we make? 20 lakh varieties of small insects, 11 lakh varieties of small insects. This is called God's creation. Then next is 10 lakh varieties of birds. Pakshinam Dashalakshanam. 10 lakh varieties of birds. Then Trismal Lakshani Pashavaha. Trismal means 3 times Lakshani. That means 30 lakh varieties of Pashavaha. That means land animals, quadrupeds, animals who walk on 4 legs. And then Chatur Lakshani Manushaha. 4 lakh varieties of human beings. So I'll repeat again. Jalaja Navalakshani, 9 lakh varieties of aquatics. Sthavara Lakshavimshati, trees, plants, creepers, non-moving thereof, 20 lakh varieties. And then Krimayo Rudra Sankhya 11 lakh varieties of insects. Pakshinam Dashalakshanam, 10 lakh varieties of birds. Trismal Lakshani Pashavaha, 30 lakh varieties of land animals. And Chatur Lakshani Manushaha, 4 lakh varieties of human beings, which totally comprises of 84 lakh different varieties of species. You can see how great is the variegatedness in the Lord's creation. Actually, Lord gives us so much varieties of creation and everything has a specific purpose. But nowadays people are not being human and they are destroying these varieties bestowed upon us by the Lord. Lord has given us wonderful land, and the land can produce so many varieties of fruits, so many varieties of flowers, so many varieties of grains. Within category of each flower, there are varieties of colors. Within category of each fruit, there are different varieties. I remember some years back, some decades back, India used to have around 400 to 700 different varieties of rice. Today we see hardly 75 different varieties of rice, because most of the land has become infertile because of growing tobacco or humans not utilizing the land properly. So instead of growing vegetation, we are raising cattle or we are utilizing it for tobacco, and we are spoiling the variety which Lord wants to give us. Then Lord has also given us varieties of talents in people. Some people are good musicians. Some people are good painters. Some people are good thinkers and writers. Some people are good orators. But nowadays, especially in modern education, everybody start to think in one direction. I remember one of the friend that I had, when his child was being born, I mean the wife of my friend, she was still in pregnancy. They used to talk to the child inside the womb. Beta, tomorrow in future, you'll have to go to IIT. I mean, the child is preparing from the womb itself to go to IIT. What a pressure on him. You have to become IIT and you have to become doctor only. Especially in Andhra, I see, or most of the South Indian part of India, southern part of India, most of the parents are quite oppressive on their children. But they are not able to bring out the variety that the Lord has bestowed upon them to shine it forth. Then Lord has also given us beautiful gift of cow, mother cow. Mother cow, whatever she gives off is for the benefit of the human society. If she gives urine also, it is antiseptic. If it gives cow dung also, it is antiseptic. It cures many diseases. It gives off milk to the humans, which nourishes their brain tissues so that they can understand fine aspects of life. There are so many things that the cow gives off. And with that milk, you can prepare hundreds of varieties of foodstuffs. You can prepare paneer out of it. You can make rabdi out of it. You can make ghee out of it, you can make buttermilk out of it, you can make curd out of it, hundreds of varieties of foodstuffs. But instead of getting this variety, instead of thinking milk is the miracle food, they're thinking cow is the miracle food, and they're eating cow and losing on all the variety. Lord has bestowed upon men and women different talents. I remember in one of the houses that I had gone of my friend, he had a small baby, few months old, and the baby started crying in the room. And I remember there were few men apart from me in that room, including my friend, and there were no ladies. All ladies were inside of the house doing some household chores, and the baby was put in a jhula, put in a swing, and the baby started crying, and none of the men, including me, could pacify him. At one point of time, my friend became so upset that he started shouting on the baby, "Don't shout, don't cry, don't cry." But he couldn't stop the crying of the baby. But as soon as the mother came from inside, she picked up the baby and took it to a balcony. And the baby stopped crying. And then we asked her, "What is the magic that you did?" And she said, "The baby was feeling suffocated among all of you. He was not having proper air to breathe. So he wanted some fresh air. So I took him outside and then he became pacified." And we had no clue how did she understand. Because Lord had bestowed upon her a sixth sense of caring for people around. So women have that ability, men don't have that ability. But artificially we want to make them equal and lose on that variety. So like that, Lord has different varieties of species also in this creation. And among them, 4 lakh varieties are of humans. Now you may think, what is this categorization? What are these 4 lakh human species? So this categorization is based on the level of consciousness. Now at this point of time, consciousness may be very difficult for you to understand, but you can simplify it by saying thinking. Thinking is a manifestation of one's internal consciousness. So the way humans have consciousness inside, or the way they think, according to that level of thinking, they're divided into 4 lakh categories. So this is a very distinctive feature of humans, that they can think, they can discriminate between what is right, what is wrong, what is good from wrong, what is profitable, what is non-profitable, what is virtuous, what is vicious, what is material, what is spiritual. This discriminative ability is a symptom of human life. That's why human is called as rational animal. Like for example, if you go to somebody's house and ring a bell, as I was giving an example in the beginning, a dog immediately starts barking. Dog immediately starts barking. But a human comes and asks, "Who are you, sir?" And then he takes an action. So human being means he will discriminate, he will think, and then he will act. But animal means he will just act. He will not think. So when human discriminates and on that basis he acts and uses his capacity of knowledge to inquire, then his human life begins. Till then, he is called two-legged animal. He's not considered as human. At the point when he discriminates right from wrong and inquires what is right, what is wrong, and based on that choice, when he acts, then he becomes a human. That's why in our classrooms also, in college, most intelligent students were those who would inquire. So just having an akriti of a human, a form of a human, does not make us a human. Just like a person being born in a house of a doctor does not make him a doctor by default. A person born in a lawyer's house does not make him a lawyer. He has to gain qualification to be a doctor or a qualification to be a lawyer. Similarly, there is no human who is born human. We have to act like a human. We have to be like a human. I remember I had read another snippet in one of the newspaper saying that one man went to a village. It was a joke. A man went to a village and he asked one boy, that has any time a great man or a great woman being born in your village? And the child very nonchalantly replied with a smile. He said, in our village, only children are born, sir. So what did he mean by saying like that is, nobody is born great man or a great woman. They're born as children, but their choices in life make them a great man or a great woman. Similarly, nobody is born a human. An akriti may be of a human, but the kriti should also define him as a human. So now we should think that we have got a very special form where we can utilize our choices. We have the capacity to solve the ultimate problems of life. Scriptures say this is a speciality of a human, that he can think, he can discriminate, and he can make right choices, and he can solve ultimate problems of his life. Ultimate problems of his life means inquiring about what is the goal of my life. I remember when I was in childhood, our teachers would ask us, what is the goal that you want to achieve in your life? So some children would say, I want to be a doctor. Some children would say, I want to be an engineer. Some children would say, I want to be a lawyer. But then that's not the goal of life. Once you become an engineer, what then? What next? What is the goal of human life per se? Nobody knows this. Everybody is playing in their life like a football match without a goal post. Everybody's working hard, but they don't know what is the goal at the end of their life they should achieve. And scriptures define this goal. Scriptures say that in human life, you should resolve these ultimate problems of life. What are they? The problems which are common to all, problems which nobody can avoid, and problems which nobody wants. Problems which are common to all. It's not that one person has that problem. Everybody has that problem. Nobody wants that, and nobody can avoid it. And there are these problems which exist. There are 4 problems which are common to all. Nobody wants them, and nobody can avoid. And these 4 problems are birth, old age, disease, and death. These 4 problems nobody wants in their life. Nobody wants to get old. Nobody wants to die. Nobody wants to get diseased. But nobody can avoid, and it is common to all. But a human life is given an opportunity to know about how to solve these problems. But that is not a discussion of our topic today. In future, Parivartan Club may organize another session on this. But scriptures say that human being can solve these problems. But if you don't solve these problems, and if you get caught up in solving some temporary stopgap problems, then it is like using a human form of life for some lower purpose, just like using a golden pen for scratching your head. I remember when I had gone to one of my friends in his house, he was busy in doing something, and his daughter was sitting in the hall outside, and she was watching a television. And my friend was making late to come out. And I asked his daughter, can you please go and ask your father, please come out so that I can meet him quickly and proceed for my further engagements. And then she said to me that, uncle, I cannot go inside because you see, I'm watching television and I'm watching gymnastics and I can't leave it and go inside. And then I asked her, do you like gymnastics? And then she said, yes. I said, what do you like in gymnastics? So she started describing about gymnastics. And then I asked her, they must have practiced a lot, isn't it? To do this acrobatics? And then she said, yes. Then I asked her, but a monkey in the forest does the best gymnastics. Let's suppose they open this competition for all species of life. Monkey will get the best prize in gymnastics. So what we are trying to do, my point of indicating this is, what we are trying to do is to compete with what a monkey can do better. If you're running, there are many species of life which can run fast. Horses can run fast, cheetahs can run fast. And by running, we want to get that ability to trying to compete with these animals. Now, I'm not discouraging people, those who go for Olympics or those who go for gymnastics, but I'm saying this is not the goal of life. This is not the goal of human life. Human life is for the higher purpose. So there is one aphorism in Mahabharata which talks about what a human should do. What is this goal of life that human should pursue in his life? So this shloka goes like this. Ahara nidra bhayamaithunam cha samanyam etad pashubhir naranam dharmo hitesham adhiko vishesho dharmena hinah pashubhi samanah. So in this one shloka or one text of the Vedic literature of Mahabharata, this shloka tells ahara nidra bhaya maithun, eating, sleeping, fearing or defending, and sex life or procreation. These are the four activities. Samanyam etat pashubhir naranam. Very simple to understand if you're born in India. That it is common between humans and animals. Animals also eat, although we may eat in good restaurants, maybe revolving restaurants on the 100th floor of a building. An animal may eat on the street, but the eating experience is the same. Nidra, sleeping. We also sleep, the animal also sleeps. In fact, sometimes the rich people are not able to sleep even with sleeping pillows into their AC rooms. But then a dog on the street with all the noise can sleep very happily. Mating, producing or having sex life is also common between animals and humans. We may do it privately, they may do it publicly, but the experience is the same. And defending of oneself or of one's ego or one's body is also the same in animals and humans. And if you take any activities created by humans, they boil down to this foundation of these four activities. We nothing but do these four activities in human life. You take any pursuits of life, you may say, okay, we have entertainment, we have movies. But in the movies, what are the two important scenes? If they're not there, the movie won't run or movie won't be popular. That is stunts or violence and sex. That is defending and mating. We have football, we have cricket, we have so many sports. But then every player in the sport is on the spotlight and he wants to defend his position of being the best sportsman. That is also defending. We have space research. We are searching for space in the creation for living. But then what will we do when we have more space? Eating, sleeping, mating, defending. So our all activities or pursuits in human life are geared up for doing these four activities, which are common between humans and animals. We're just doing the better way. So scriptures say that if anybody does these four only as a goal of life, then he's no better than deluxe edition of animal. That means he's just sophisticated animal. But then the next two lines in the shloka talk about what makes a human special. And they say, dharmena hinaha pashubhi samanaha. If the human being is devoid of dharma, performing dharma, then he's no better than two-legged animal. Now, what is this dharma? Dharma means inquiry. Inquiry about higher truths of life. What are these higher truths of life? See, this inquiry has been sown as a seed in our hearts since our childhood. All of you might remember that when we were in school, we were taught this first poem. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. This song itself sows the seed of inquiry in our heart. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. What is this star in the sky? What kind of space is this above us? Who are we? Who am I? Last 25 years or 30 years of my life, I have been the same person, but my body shape is changed. Then who am I? If everything is changed, who am I who is not changed? What will happen after this life? People, when they are dead and gone, where do they go? What happens to them after death? We say that he passed away or he left. Where did he live? What happened to him after death? Was there nothing after death? What is this world about? Who has organized this creation? When we go into somebody's house, let's say you go to see a house, and you open the door and you see that everything is shabby. There is all dust around. There are cobwebs around. There are broken wood stuffs. And there are cockroaches running around, rats running around. You will know that there is nobody living here. It must have been some storeroom, or it is an abandoned place since many, many days. But when we go into a house, we open the door, there is beautiful sofa set, there is beautiful television, refrigerator, AC, beautiful interiors. Then we come to know that there are people living, and they may be of a higher class also, upper high class, because their house looks so spick and span and so nice interiors. So similarly, when we see into this creation, everything is so wonderfully organized. There is nothing shabby. Every day morning the sun rises, every day evening the sun sets. The seasons come, summer, rain, winter. Different flowers and fruits grow according to the season. Everything is so beautifully organized. So when we see this organization, we should wonder whose house it is in which we are living. These inquiries about higher truths of life make us a human. And if we don't make these inquiries, but then we just lead our life like eating, sleeping, mating, defending, making them as the goal. Like eating is for living, but there are some people who live to eat. There are some people who live to sleep. There are some people who are always revolving around sex life. Who is going to be my partner? Who is going around with whom? I mean, these are just part of life. They're not. It's not that they're supposed to be neglected. They're supposed to be done for the self-preservation, but they are not the goal of human life. Goal of human life is athato brahma jigyasa, that dharma. So in Vedic literature, which is written by Srila Vyasadeva, Vyasa Maharshi, in all the categories of Vedic literature, when he wrote, at the end of the Vedic literatures, he gave a sutra compilation in essence of all the Vedic literature. And that sutra compilation is called Vedanta Sutra, in which he wrote aphorisms, small aphorisms, in essence, talking about the knowledge of the all Vedas. And that Vedanta Sutra begins by first aphorism, Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Athato means therefore, Brahma means spiritual, and Jigyasa means inquiry. Make now the ultimate inquiry, make now the spiritual inquiry, be a human. Therefore now inquire about yourself. That's what the aphorism means. Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Therefore now inquire about yourself. Now, have any one of you seen a book which begins with therefore? You open a book and says, therefore, now you must do this. You may say, are there some pages missing before? How does it begin with therefore? Vedanta Sutra begins with, therefore now you inquire about yourself. Now what does it imply? Therefore means, because you don't have now 4 legs, because now you don't have a tail, because now you can read. That's why you have picked up this Vedic literature in your hand and you are now reading. Therefore, that means you are a human now. You are not an animal. Because only human can pick up a literature and read. This program that we are holding of Parivartan Camp, if we call some dogs or cats to invite for a program, they will not come and attend the program. They won't understand anything. But humans can understand. Humans can read. So as you have picked now this Vedic literature in your hand, now you inquire about yourself, because now you're a human. Inquire that what is the cause of my suffering? Why I have to undergo this problem of disease, old age and death? As if forcefully when I don't want to undergo. What is the goal of my human life? Who is God? Who am I? What is this creation about? What is next life? Is there a next life? Is there a reincarnation? These questions are to be asked. And then Vedic literature say, okay, where do you make these inquiries? Where is the inquiry booth? Where is the information booth where you should go and inquire about this? Shastra Yonitvat. Inquire from the Shastra. Why Shastra? Why not research on it? Why not to go to somebody else and ask? Shruteshu Shabda Mulatvat. The third aphorism says. It says that because this Shastra has come from the Supreme Lord Himself, God Himself. It has come from the most perfect source. It's like God has given us wonderful creation in which He is giving us food to eat. He is giving us shelter to live. He is giving us iron. He is giving us sand, he's giving us rocks with which we can make a house and have shelter for ourselves. He's also giving us sunlight and moonlight which give juices in the vegetation and grow them. He also gives out rain for sufficiency of water. Then why will he also not give knowledge to live in this world, which is also very important? Like, for example, if you give some gift to your friend, let's say a mobile, an iPod, but you don't teach him how to use it, how will he benefit from it? So when Lord gives us this world to live in, he also gives us the manual. He also gives us knowledge to live in. And he gives us the purpose to live in this world. So that's why, Athato Brahma Jigyasa, inquire about yourself. Where do you inquire? Shastra Yonitvad, inquire from Shastra. Why? Because Shruteshu Shabdamulatvad. Because they are from the perfect source. Otherwise, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending can be done by animals more better than us. Elephants can eat tons and tons of food a day without any pills of for constipation or stomach problems. In fact, animals know how to better live in this world even without getting educated. If you see now the rainy season is beginning, many places now rains are coming forth. Now before the rains begin, around 15 to 20 days before, the spiders starts coming inside the house and making the causes inside the house. Because spiders understand now there is rain and I can't live outside. Now I have to hide somewhere inside. This is what one of the signs that rains are going to come. If you throw an oily puri to a cat or a dog, you can see that they smell it and they understand that it is not good for stomach and they won't eat. They have intuitive ability how to live in this world. But a man understands that it is harmful for the stomach, but he'll still eat it, misutilizing his choice. Birds can travel thousands of miles without even one GPS system for their secure residence or atmosphere to live, and can come back to their original residence, traveling thousands of miles back. So, animals can better do eating, sleeping, mating, defending. In fact, animals can defend themselves with their claws and teeth, but human or jaws. But humans have some external apparatus to protect themselves. We can't protect with our bodily hands and legs. So that is not that means we have something more to do than the animals. That means we have something higher to do than eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Our bodies can eat very limited, for sleep for a limited time, cannot defend like animals, and cannot do sex life also like animals. Dogs can produce multiple. Mosquitoes can produce in thousands in a day. But a human can produce one child in a year. That means these abilities are not the goal of life. Humans are supposed to utilize their spare time in something which is very higher. So Krishna, Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, he summarized all this knowledge, as I told you in the beginning, that I had got inspired by this society, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, when I got this Bhagavad Gita from that volunteer. In that book, which is the Vedic wisdom of India, rich wisdom of India, I had never read in my whole life, which is such a piece of knowledge. In that Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells to Arjuna, and Arjuna presents himself as a perfect human in front of Krishna. Krishna, who is God, is standing in front of him, and Arjuna presents himself as a better or perfect human. Arjuna says to Krishna that how can I kill my family members, my teachers, my grandfather? So he exhibits a quality of compassion. Arjuna exhibits a quality of kindness towards them. Arjuna fears that if I kill them, I'll get sinful reaction in my life. That means he's acknowledging the higher controllers in the nature. He knows that there is somebody watching my activities. Although Arjuna was in ignorance, he manifested an inquiry. Even after having these wonderful qualities of compassion, kindness, fear of doing sin, acknowledging the higher controllers, still he exhibited an inquiry towards Krishna. What is the action that I'm supposed to do in my life? What is the goal that I should pursue in my life? Please tell me what are right choices to do in my life. Yah shreyasyan nishitam bruhi tanme shishyasteham shadhimam tvam prapannam. Now I become your disciple, O my Supreme Lord. Please guide me. How should I act in my life? So why did I quote the example of Arjuna? Is today there are many societies who are saying being human means being charitable, means being kind to people, means if the giving education to people who are underprivileged, giving medical care to the people who are underprivileged. But this is just 50% being human. 100% being human means even after having charitable nature, even after having kind nature, even after having helping hand towards the others, making an inquiry also along with it about higher truths of life. If we do both, then that is being 100% human. So I urge all of you, be human, inquire about these truths of life as you move forward through these courses about higher truths of life, who we are, what is this world, who is God, what is the goal of life, why do we suffer in our life, what are these 4 problems, how can we resolve them, along with living our normal routine life of eating, sleeping, mating, defending, which we need not to give up, but utilizing it to pursue the higher goal of human life. I thank you all very much for giving your kind attention for last 50 minutes that we had. If you have any questions or comments, I'm open to answer. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time and also explaining all the concepts so logically and with very good examples. So we would like to welcome sir. We would like to thank sir for helping us to understand what is the real meaning of being human. Like as sir was telling, nowadays so many societies, so many communities, and so many groups of people, they focus so much on being human. But then to develop this higher and a very deep understanding of what does it really mean to be a human in full, like 100%, like that. So thank you so much, sir. Now, in case you have any questions and all, just wait for 5-10 minutes. We will have some announcements and then we will take them. So first of all, as you might have seen also on the invitation of the poster that we are going to have a quiz now for all of you. Now, as per our every time schedule, we used to have a very interesting quiz based on what you have learned in the session, like which you have heard in the last 45-50 minutes, like that. So I'm sure all of you are able to see a link in your chat box for the quiz. So before beginning, just hear these few what we say instructions for the quiz. So the quiz contains questions where if you will answer wrong, you will get negative marks for them, like that. And more early you answer, more points you will get. Each question will be having for like the time limit will be 30 seconds, and you will be having lifelines also, which will which you can avail as per you will progress in the quiz. So I put a best of luck for all of you for the quiz. All of you can go ahead. Please take your time. It will not take more than 4 or 5 minutes. Just complete it and be back, because we'll be announcing the results also now after 5-10 minutes, that who are the toppers, and the toppers will get special goodies from the side of our club, like that. So thank you so much. I'll pause here for 5 minutes. All of you can take your time and quickly click on the link and attempt the quiz.
So here we are ending the game. Akshay, you can continue next program.
Yes, sir. So, as Mehul sir have just told, so I believe all of you have attempted the quiz and would have found it very interesting. So results also will announce, but before that, I would like okay, results also is there with us. Yeah, so we'll announce the results in a moment, but before that, just a quick announcement. We are going to post a link for the feedback form as well in your chat box. Please take a few moments to fill that as well. And as you might have seen in the last session also, we are going to have certificates for them, but only to those who are going to fill the feedback forms, because otherwise how we'll get your information. So please take a few moments and please fill the feedback form as well. I'll request Mehul sir, he'll put it in your chat box. And also just one more last announcement, and then we can go ahead with the questions to ask from sir. So I would like to briefly tell you regarding our next session. So our next session is on next Saturday, that is on 15th of August. That's a very special day, especially for all the Indians. It's our Independence Day, 15 August. So I'm going to share my screen and would like to show you what we say, a poster for our next session. So I believe all of you are able to see my screen with the poster of the next session. That is by the title, Mera Bharat Mahan, because it's on a very amazing day of Independence Day of our country. So also the speaker for the next session is Mr. Vishal Kaushal sir. I'll be telling about sir as well in a few moments. It is there next Saturday, same time, 6 to 7 p.m. And also we're going to have again a gaming quiz that time also based on the session like that. So I would like to tell about sir as well. Yes. So sir has been a research scholar pursuing PhD in machine learning from computer vision at the Department of Computer Science and Engineering in IIT Bombay since 2016, and also a ML consulting. Sir is also a recipient of Ekal Fellowship. His areas of interest include machine learning, computer vision with human in the loop, and applying machine deep learning to automated analysis of the videos in general, and summarization in particular. So all of you who understands a background in machine learning, you might be able to relate more to it. From 2004 to 2016, sir had a 12 years of professional experience working in Oracle India Private Limited as a product design and development and BMC software, that is R&D for incubation. And also he has been a faculty in Vishwakarma Institute of Technology, Pune. Sir is passed out from IIT Kharagpur in the year 2004 with a BTech honors in CSC and an Institute Silver Medalist for topping the class. Besides sir's profession, he is actively involved in social welfare activities and serving as a chairman of VOICE, that is Vedic Voices for Inspiration, Culture and Education, which is a voluntary youth forum with a motto of rekindling wisdom and reviving love. In fact, this organization, like this NGO, is very famous, especially all across India. In particular, sir is volunteering his time for spreading the timeless scientific wisdom present in the ancient texts like the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, the Bible, and in such ancient and contemporary classics, making them very relevant for modern life, like that. So sir has himself been a student and a practitioner of Bhagavad Gita for about a decade now. And by God's grace, he has been appreciated by his motivational talks on personality development, lifestyle management and leadership by many, many people, especially students, corporates, and all the places where he gives seminars. Sir has been over the years being invited to deliver several such seminars to employees in various corporates and also students in various premier institutes of the country. So we'll be having opportunity to have sir with us next Saturday. So I request all of you, please don't forget to attend that also. And now we will take questions. I'm sure all of you are able to see the feedback link now in your chat box. So please do fill that also. Along with that, we can have question answers to sir. So maybe all of you can write them to sir.
Akshay, can I also add a 1 minute announcement about next program?
Yeah,
title?
please. Yes.
Okay. So as we have seen that the title of the next program is Mera Bharat Mahan. And most of the people who live in India, Bharatiyas, they don't know the meaning of Bharat. I had asked one of my friend, what do you know about Bharat? Why the name Bharat? And he said that because the land belonged to one king called Bharat in the history, that's why the land was called Bharat. That is also true. But there is another meaning to the name Bharat. Bha means light. That's why sun who gives out the light is called Bhaskar or Prabhakar. Similarly, Bharat, Bha means light and Rat means people who are engaged. That's why we say somebody who is engaged in the work, we say he's Karya Rat. Similarly, those people who are engaged in the culture of enlightenment about life, that place where such people exist is called Bharat. Bharat means a place where people are constantly engaged in the culture of enlightenment about higher truths of life. So this is a very special name that we have in our country. And so we all of us should know that why Bharat is Mahan. Because of this one quality that exists in the people of this country. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So now we'll have quick questions. In case you have any, you can quickly write down in a chat box to sir directly. Or sir, Mehul sir, like if they want to speak, they can do directly, like we can unmute or things like.
Yes, they can unmute also.
Okay, they can unmute themselves, huh? Okay. So friends, in case you can unmute yourself and ask directly to sir. Someone is asking, they can simply raise their hand and maybe if they are not able to unmute, I'll unmute. Sir, they can unmute or like we have to? Mehul sir?
No, they can unmute. They have option to unmute.
Okay.
I have allowed that.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Prabhuji, what is the best way to engage ourselves with positivity?
With positivity.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. So see, best way is by doing ABCDs of life good. We should always remember the ABCDs of life to be positive in life. A stands for association. It is said that we become what we associate with. Just like an iron rod kept in a fire becomes fiery because he acquires the qualities of fire. Similarly, we acquire qualities by our association. So positivity develops first by association with positive people who have their goals right set, who have their habits and character very proper, and who can overcome negativities in their life by treating their minds with positivity. Second is books. What kind of books we read? What goes in comes out. There is a principle in English called GIGO. Garbage in, garbage out, or good in, good out. So what kind of positive books we read? Especially if you read scriptures, especially texts like Bhagavad Gita. Gives a lot of positivity in life. Or any such positive positively inspiring texts. C is for meditation or chanting. See, regularly we should have some methods to treat our mind. Most of the time in our life we become negative because of our mind. Our mind speculating something wrong, mind speculating about unnecessary anxieties. Mind has to be treated. That's why when people used to go to a temple or a spiritual atmosphere, they would call it mandir. Although you go in your body, it's not called tandir, it's called mandir. Similarly, mantra, chanting of the mantra. Man means mind and tra means to deliver. That which delivers the mind from anxiety is called mantra. So you develop positivity also by chanting mantra. So there are many mantras that you can chant. For example, this famous mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Or there are many other mantras. So by chanting mantra also you can make your mind positive. Mantra meditation. And fourth is D, by diet. What kind of diet you have? Especially if you have vegetarian diet, it's very, very good. It gives a lot of positivity. Non-vegetarian diet gives a lot of violence and negativity. So if you set this first ABCD right, much of the positivity in your life will change. You'll become positive in your life. Association, books, chanting of mantras, and diet that you keep. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam.
Yes.
Prabhuji, like when you play video games, I actually get carried away, Prabhuji. How do you lose that habit, Prabhuji?
See, as I was saying, the four aspects that humans are not doing better, or animals do better than humans, that is eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. In fact, humans suffer more in these four aspects. Humans know what is not to eat, they eat it and they spoil their stomach. Humans sometimes sleep more than required and gets neck pains and back pains. Humans also try to exercise their sexual capacity more and they lose their vital energy, and also defend without any reason by playing video games. Especially in this modern era, we unnecessarily get into fights in video games and try to exercise our defending capacity, which is actually not needed. Trying to defend ourselves puts us in some kind of anxiety. So especially nowadays, the man is not living in reality, he's living in a virtual world. So that's why these mobiles or these screen devices are called by one of the modern philosophers as vampires. Vampires, especially in Western terminology, means a creature which sits on your neck or ear and which sucks your blood. So these devices are called as modern vampires, which sit on our mind and they suck our presence of consciousness. They suck our presence of mind. And then they are not able to make us concentrate on our real life problems. Just like people used to have addictions earlier of drinking, of smoking, they used to feel that, we are relieving ourselves when there are problems like that. Similarly, nowadays, this video games addiction is also growing very popular, because of which they're forgetting the real problems of their real life problems, or they're not dealing with their real life. They're mostly in their virtual reality. It has become kind of an addiction. So if I would suggest you that you would limit your usage of your screen devices to only official purposes, have some meaningful engagements in your life, spend time more with people around, spend time more with positive associations which engage you in physical activity. If you are unengaged, mind is naturally going to take you to screen devices to take you to virtual reality. So that's my suggestion. If you become more engulfed in this virtual reality, we become very introvertish, we can't deal with people, and ultimately I'll tell you that if you don't have satisfying, loving relationships with people to be around with, you will feel loneliness. And this loneliness, the problem of loneliness, depression, suicides are growing because of this living in virtual reality more in today's age. So let us not develop these problems, mental problems, but live in real world, deal with people, develop higher values and purposes of life, get meaningful engagements in our life. That is more better for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. I think we have one question in chat, quick question. I think Gaurav is asking that, sir, please talk about what can be done to overcome problems of life and how to attain higher consciousness of spirituality in daily routine activities.
Very good, nice question. As I said, today is not the context of speaking about how to overcome these problems of life. Maybe in one of the future sessions is going to be addressed. Hopefully they will address this problem of how we can solve these 4 problems of life permanently for all together. But I'll address the second part of the question, is how to be spiritual or develop spiritual consciousness as a routine in our life, which is very important. See, spiritual life is very, very important part of being a human. As I said earlier, scriptures tell that we are not human beings who get spiritual experience in their life. We are actually spiritual beings who are presently undergoing a human experience out of these 84 lakh species that we have seen. But actually we are spiritual beings. We are spiritual sparks, parts and parcels of the Supreme, who is also spiritual in nature. And that is the spark which does not change even though the bodies change. So spiritual life is not just a part of our life, it's actually heart of our life. Regularly in routine life, how we can develop this spiritual consciousness, especially by taking to reading of at least a little snippet of spiritual wisdom daily. Especially I suggest Bhagavad Gita is a book that every Indian must study daily. If you have a copy of Bhagavad Gita, I prefer a copy of ISKCON's Bhagavad Gita as it is. It has 700 texts, 18 chapters. Now you may say that I don't have time to read this text daily. Actually, if you read even one text daily, it takes around 5 to 10 minutes. In 2 years, you will complete reading of this Bhagavad Gita book, which is very, very vital and important. So daily one shloka, one text. Or you can apply another formula, daily 1 page. So as I tell to others, many of those who are in my contacts to read Bhagavad Gita, I suggest them, read a page, be a sage page by page, escape the cage before you age. This is the formula. Be a sage page by page, escape the cage before you age. So daily read 1 page or 1 shloka. That will nourish your spiritual intelligence. And also do something to connect with the Supreme through some spiritual practice. Now, according to different ages, it is described in scriptures, according to different ages that you live in, there is different method to connect to the Supreme. Like most of you may know or may not know that we are living presently, according to Western calendar, it's a millennia. But then according to Vedic calendar, it's called Kali Yuga. Similarly, there are 3 other yugas: Satya Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Treta Yuga, and Kali Yuga. So in every of the age that we live in, there is a process to connect to the Supreme. In Satya Yuga, the process is given to connect to the Supreme is by meditation, by going to the forest for many, many hundreds and thousands of years. Because people lived for that many years. I'll not go into the details of it. In the Dwapar Yuga, the process was described as yajnas, sacrifices. Sorry, in Treta Yuga, the process was sacrifices. That means doing yajnas and connecting with the Supreme. In Dwapar Yuga, the process was deity worship, temple deity worship. But in the age that we are living in, we hardly have any life, 100 years, in that also because of the modern day pollution, noise pollution, water pollution, air pollution, and so many of the things that are going around. Our lifespan is reduced to hardly 60, 70. In such a short lifespan, how much can we do? So best process is given to us is daily chanting the names of God, Supreme Lord, wherever we are, daily for some fixed amount of time and trying to connect with Him. So especially if I recommend you to cultivate your spiritual consciousness in a routine life by reading a text of Bhagavad Gita or a page of Bhagavad Gita, and by chanting the names of the Supreme Lord. As I told you, I suggested you one mantra: Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. On a, let's say, string of beads, maybe a round daily. You can spare a 5 to 10 minutes, and in that way you can connect with the Supreme Lord by these 2 basic activities. And as much as you can, every weekend participate in these sessions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So Very thankful to sir for answering all the questions so aptly, I would say. And yeah, so we can take one last question also. Sir, did they wrote to you directly?
Yes, there is a question from Govardhan. He is asking, what do you suggest to students, those who are attracting to bad habits, or those who are attracted to bad habits?
Okay. See, as I said, bad habits appear very lucrative, but bad habits are actually dangerous. And once you get into them, bad habits are like soft, cozy beds, very easy to get in, but difficult to get out. Or once you catch those habits, the habits in turn catch you and you're not able to leave them. But if you carefully see, these bad habits, we don't see them bad. We see them very lucrative, very attractive. It's very unfortunate in today's society, just like fish or a rat. Let's say the fishermen who go for fishing the fish from the sea or from the river, they attach a bait to a hook and they throw that bait into the water, and the fish thinks that this is my bait for eating, this is my food for eating, and it comes and starts eating and then gets hooked and then pulled out of the water. Similarly, rats also lose their life. Sometimes they keep a mouse trap, and in the mouse trap they have cheese or some sweet items for attracting the rats, and when the rat comes to eat, tuck from the behind, the trap gets closed and the mouse is trapped inside. So these species lose their life because they think that these food items are for their survival, and they don't know there is a trap around it. They have no intelligence to understand it. But unfortunately, humans are the only species who understand it and they know that there is a trap, but they still willingly take the trap to die. Like, for example, one of the bad habits is smoking cigarette. Now, on the packet of the cigarette itself, it is written, smoking is injurious. This was the early times. Now it comes, tobacco kills. It's not just injurious. They want to hype the reality by saying it kills. Although he knows that it is a trap, he will go for it. And it is not for his survival. So smoking gives you 3 benefits. You may say, what are the benefits that smoking gives? You will not need any medicines. You will have peace of mind and nobody around you. And you will never get old. You will have peace around you. Nobody will come because nobody will want passive smoking. You will not need any medicines because medicines will not work. And you will never become old because you will die young. Smoking creates holes in your pockets as well as lungs. And the way they'll advertise smoking is, they'll have a person smoking a cigarette and he'll say, oh, cool. So there is one organization called Alcohol Anonymous. They had said that cigarette is a piece of paper which has on one side fire and on another side a fool who thinks that smoking is cool when he's taking in fire. So the people, they don't understand what they do. If only they're educated about bad habits, they can be saved from it, and at the very early stages. Before they catch the bad habits, they have to be educated. Especially liquor. Now drinking liquor is also another bad habit. They think that by drinking liquor, they'll come out of depression, but the liquor itself is a depressive ingredient because it's a fermented juice. According to science, fermented things create depression in the mind. So it causes liver cirrhosis, it causes loses of presence of mind, the person goes crazy, and it is harmful for the body. So bad habits are not communicated as bad, they're communicated as lucrative advertisements. And most of the times people also take to these habits just to be one of the people in the group. They want to be socially accepted, they don't want to be socially outcast. In the beginning, when you try smoking, you cough. In the beginning, when you drink liquor, it's bitter. It's pathetically bitter. It does not taste good. My friends used to tell me in the college when I used to be there that be a man, drink a bottle of wine and not vomit. Now, why will a person vomit if it is relishable? He will vomit if it is not relishable. And tolerating the vomit does not mean you're a man. But tolerating the habit which is harmful, that means a man. So unfortunately, because of the social propaganda around, we pick up this bad habit just to be one of them. But all the things that are popular are not right, and all the things that are right are never popular. So we should walk the path that is right and not the popular one. So we should know what bad habits are, how harmful they are, and by knowledge we should stay away from it, and we should not get trapped in this propaganda of popularization or trends. Thank you. That's brief.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So now we have the results ready with us. So as all of you can see on your screen, the first rank goes to Aarti with 6,070 points. Very amazing. The next rank goes to Vishwakarma with 5,990 points. Very close, what we say, competition like that. The third rank goes to Apurva with again 5,920 points. Then Suman by 5,740 points. Then Divya, then Himanshu, then Vedya, Sandeep, with very close competition, all in the range of 5,000 plus points. And then Sanjay, Ajay. So till 10th rank we will take. And so a big round of applause for everyone for sure for scoring such good rank with very high points indeed. And I would say, so all the toppers, they are going to receive goodies from our side of our club. And we also like to thank sir a lot for taking out so much time and answering almost each and every question like which came up after the discussion. And yeah, so all of you, those who have got ranked till 10, they have to send their address, their name and their phone number on our WhatsApp. I'm sure all of you might have been like connected to some or other WhatsApp group. Okay, now you can see also in your chat box, Mehul sir has added one WhatsApp number. So all of you has to send your name, your address, your phone number, all those who scored rank within 10 for this quiz. And then they are going to receive the goodies from our side like that. So please note down this phone number. Yeah, so again, we are displaying the list starting from Aarti till Ajay like that. So all of you can write down your name, address to this WhatsApp number. And I believe all of you must have filled the feedback form as well, because that will mark as a details for you to get the certificate. In case like I'm like receiving some messages on chat that you have not received the certificates from last few sessions, we have like we'll be sending it an e-certificate. In case you have not, you please mention it in your feedback form like that. And also in case you have not, and you can take the same WhatsApp number also and can just write a SMS to us through WhatsApp like that. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir, for taking out your time. And also don't forget to attend the next session. Yeah, of course, thanks to all the audience as well for so patiently hearing and asking such brilliant questions as well. And don't forget to attend the next session, which is there same day, that is on Saturday. The day is very special, that is 15th of August, Independence Day. And the time is also same, that is 6 to 7. And any further details we'll inform you through your WhatsApp groups.